I'm Jordan.
And I'm Sheridan.
And together we're Sippin on Spice podcast.
And we actually drove our other friends talking about books crazy because we were talking about books so much that we started a book talk and a podcast so that we can talk about these books with you.
And we treat this like a girls' night where we just pour a glass of whatever, sit down and talk about the books like we were hanging out. We rate our books on a star scale and as well as a penne scale instead of a spice scale. And if you can picture penne, you can picture why we do that.
Yes, and we do review books, but we're going to give you our unhinged, unfiltered review where we're going to say everything you were thinking of anyways.
Yeah, and today we are talking about My Dark Desire by L.J. Shen and Parker S. Huntington.
Huntington. Very close, but I am so excited to dive into this book. And to get us started, I have a very important question for you.
Okay.
Like, it's so important. I could not let this question go from my mind while reading the book. Okay. How would you feel if you were referred to as an octopus?
I feel like he does such a good job of justifying why so quickly that like it would be one thing if it was like I feel like it was a term of endearment from the beginning in at least his like delusional mind. So it was like I instantly was like, oh, that's kind of sweet.
Oh, yeah. At first, I had the opposite reaction. I was like, oh my God, this is so rude. Because his first explanation is that they die after they mate. And then he tells her more like they're loyal to a fault. And he tells her all these like super sweet things about octopusi. But octopi.
I don't know.
It is octopi, I think. I don't know. Like he tells her all these other things, but at first, doesn't he say like octopus mate and then they die and like their life is really sad?
So, just like you. No, he starts at first. One of the first words he uses to describe it is intelligent, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So he immediately says like really smart, and I think like maybe that's just like the vanity in me that I heard smart and tuned out everything else. So you think I'm like really intelligent? Thank you.
Basically, which I mean, again, he is complimenting her. Something else that I wrote down when I was reading this book is I know we're in for like a long journey and a long ride, but boy has it bad fast. Me, he's fighting it, but he fell hard and he fell hard quickly.
Yeah, he's definitely in like super denial, which I thought was funny. He was just like, well, like I'll use her, and you're like, sure.
Yeah. Sure, sir. Sure. Whatever you need to tell yourself.
Like there's never any confusion, even when he says kind of some of the meanest stuff. You're like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And something I think is different about this book, My Dark Desire, versus the book before it, My Dark Romeo. In My Dark Romeo, there was a lot of parts where I was like, oh my God, the male lead is like actually a jerk, really mean. And I don't know that I can forgive that he said that, but then you do forgive him and it works out. But this book, I other than the octopuses die and they're sad, like, all along, he doesn't mean those things. He's like,
Yeah. I think, specifically L.J. Shen as an author, and I think it's kind of true for you too. She's definitely not a dark romance author. Maybe morally gray, I guess is where I'd put her, as like most of her male leads fall into that category. But I feel like they always do and say some of the things that I, like in any other book, would DNF or say like is an absolute hard no for me.
Totally.
And then all of a sudden it's just like I'm out here forgiving them. And she's like the only author that can do that to me in a way that I'm like, that's my line, I will not cross it. And I'm just like traipsing over the line, like, it's fine though. It's fine when you do it.
Just like playing on her fear of abandonment.
Yeah,
it's fine. It's fine.
He means well.
He does mean well. He does mean well.
Maybe I should dive into that further with somebody with a license.
Maybe Farrow should. Our female lead. Maybe Farrow should.
So Farrow, isn't it?
Isn't it?
It is Farrow. It's just when
Yeah.
you say it, I think of like mummy.
What?
I don't know. You hit a hard OW that I didn't read.
Hello. Are you gonna pull out like the English accent again? Because you do every episode.
You know, honestly, after re-listening to the last two and editing them, I was like, why do I feel some sort of sad need to do some accent in every podcast episode? We do like, what is wrong with me?
So is the English accent gonna make an appearance? Is it
Are
not?
any English people in this?
I don't think so. But you did give the mummy.
You know, they're not Brit. What?
Have you watched The Mummy with Brendan Fraser and the girl? She's British, and her brother's British, and it's about the British archaeologists going to Egypt to get the things.
Yeah, going to Egypt, but they're not like from Egypt. The indigenous peoples of Egypt are British.
Yeah. But the main characters, other than the guy, are.
I was just talking about mummies in general.
Oh, okay. Well,
it's not always about Brendan Fraser.
I mean, have you seen George of the Jungle?
What I always think of though when I think of the mummy is those leeches that crawl under your skin.
Mm-hmm.
That's like one of those fears that lived rent free with me for a long time, like quicksand, level of fear.
Yes, probably won't ever encounter, but terrifying. The scarab beetles.
Yes.
My husband and I, we even say that to each other when we're like talking about like there's a fly in the house. We'll be like bugs. Because, like, you know how the guy's like, I hate bugs. And then he gets, like, covered into bugs.
Oh, my God. No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So, back to the book. Yes.
Oh, I have a note.
Okay. I'm excited.
Okay. My first note. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
That opening car scene is very Disney of them.
Oh, my gosh. Yes. Trauma, tragic.
Like they went straight for the parents, straight for some deep, twisted murder, straight off the bat, unaliving.
Yep.
Some serious unaliving, straight off the bat. A parent, an emotional milestone. They Disneyed us. They walked right into it, and they shoved Mufasa off a cliff and speared him in front of their son.
Even how the dad died in the car accident, holding his son, protecting his son,
slowly bleeding out onto his son.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That was the part that, like, when he describes his blood, I did not do well.
You didn't love that part? No.
It's just really hard not to, like, forgive everything he does after that.
See, that's what I mean. I was like, okay, I understand. I see you, maybe.
Right.
It's understandable, maybe. Okay. Something I really want to talk about, because it's one of the notes I wrote down at the top of the book. In this book, he's obviously like, okay, there's so much I want to get into and I want to hear your opinions on. But he is very wealthy. His mom is very particular, wants an arranged marriage because the wife has to be perfect. And then he falls in love with our female lead. But Farrow. Well, they call her Faye too. They call her Faye.
Can we call her Faye? I was only going to picture like Farrow.
Oh my God, Jordan, I'm so dumb. Pharaohs, like the kings of Egypt.
What did you think I meant when I said like mummies?
Yeah. No idea.
No wonder you thought of Brendan Fraser.
And there's also that like ancient grain that you can buy from the store, like health food stores. Farrow, Farrarro. It's an ancient grain, like a rice, and it's from a long time ago, but they still grow it, and that's called. Farrow. So I thought
you buy yield rice.
Basically, ancient rice. Pharaohs.
Taking it from old harvest.
Yes.
This is a colonial harvest.
It is. It's a Mesoamerican. It's like a.
Oh.
It's Mesopotamian is what I meant to say. It's of the time of the pharaohs. The Farrow wheat is of the pharaohs.
Not to be confused with this pharaoh.
Not to be confused with this pharaoh. So he falls in love with this pharaoh / fae, they also call her. But something I wrote down in huge all caps that I was asking while I was reading this book is due to his trauma that we talked about. He was a virgin. He had to have been a virgin.
Yeah, he says it.
I know, but not till much later. I was like, he's got to be a virgin. He's literally never touched anyone. Like, what? Had to have been
he was a virgin.
He was, which is also something that I was like, okay. I love this book, actually. I thought it was wonderful. I was emotionally invested. I was along for the ride, absolutely. If virgin, he was wonderful the first time. He just knew what to do.
Yeah, well, he's like well-read, so.
Right. Jordan.
You went to the Center for Ants that read really good.
I'm going to say something that I don't know if we're going to need to take out at a later date, but he practiced a lot on those sex dolls. I mean, and I'm not making that up for the episode in the book. That's what he says he does.
I think that might be one of those things that I like read and was like, no, not going to register that.
You're just going to
skim.
I could not do that, and I imagined him with the sex doll.
Oh.
Not in like a way. Like in a like...
What kind of other way could you have with the sex doll moment?
Just like questions, you know? Like...
It was interesting that he knew for sure his sexuality without like... Because he says he never wanted somebody the way he wants her.
Mm-hmm.
Which was kind of like... I guess he knew through attraction.
I guess so. Almost like, yeah. Because didn't he say that?
But it's like, okay, so let's say I was in his shoes. As a woman, I feel like you think other women are very pretty.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
So, like, how would you not confuse
very
the two attractions?
True. Very true. Well, I mean, maybe it was like a physiological response, and he didn't have that in other circumstances. And then also I had two questions for you that were on two things that I kind of think I misunderstood in the book, and I wanted to clarify.
Okay.
So his trauma, unfortunately, with his dad that passed, which kind of causes him to be like the morally gray or really push her away and kind of do some really like effed up things to her. But the thing is that his trauma is he can't touch any other human. Did it make him completely numb to cold and temperature?
No, what he's saying when he talks about that is like essentially that he mentally shut off after that. He felt like there was no point. It's almost kind of how I took it. Like there was no point outside of like pleasing his mom and being there for like the company, like doing some set amount of things. Everything else kind of numbed him. So I think it was their way of translating like emotional numbness into physical numbness, because if he find no joy, no sadness, no anything, right? Because he didn't feel any scheme of emotions. It's more that like he did not feel cold because he didn't feel.
Got it. Okay, because I was like, did you become an X-Men? How do you not feel the cold?
Are they recruiting?
This doesn't add up, but that makes
I want to be in one too because I hear Taylor Swift's gonna be in one.
Stop! Is she really?
Yeah, that's like a thing right now. The oh god, I'm gonna butcher this. So there is a Marvel character called the Dazzler, and she is a pop star.
Ooh.
I think she's actually a villain.
Okay. Ooh,
I don't recall. Better. But there's been a lot of like hints that she was gonna be the Bedazzler, and then the end of TPD, the last song Clairbeau, she says like dazzling over and over in it. So a lot of people think that's also an Easter egg. Like there's a lot of little bits.
Oh, that's cool. Oh my gosh, that would be amazing. Would absolutely watch.
She'd I know.
Be a wonderful Dazzler.
I started thinking how funny it'll be when Swifties get confirmed that there's Taylor Swift in it and all the Marvel tickets sell out.
Oh, I know, because they've fallen off. So then they'll do really well again.
Well, I mean, I'm sure they do fine still with like, but you know what I mean?
So speaking of, that's a really good point. We should do a synopsis of the book overall.
Yeah. I think I can do this. Okay. So all the books in the series, this being the second, all standalone but interconnected. Let's call it contemporary. I'd call it a morally gray contemporary. You're not moving into anything too dubious per se, but it's more the male lead personalities are a lot more morally gray. They're all based off of fairy tale retellings. So the first one was Romeo and Juliet. This one was Cinderella. And the play was essentially that the female lead, her dad passes away. Her stepmother and stepsisters kind of take over the house and over the funds. She's worked to death. Stumbles across the path of a wealthy man by trying to rob him. And he essentially finds her interesting, finds her smart, kind of starts to feel something for the first time. He's been emotionally numb for a really long time, as we've kind of already touched on. And he finds her really interesting. So he does everything in his power to essentially make her his maid, so that he can, I guess, slowly get what he feels is revenge on her. For attempting to steal from him and their growing relationship.
Yes. And what I do want to say here too is I absolutely loved this female lead in this book. So I would love to hear your thoughts too. I thought she was wonderful.
She's definitely been one of my favorite female leads. I think really good at strength. I think especially when I get like a morally gray character who does something really messed up, I like to see the female lead like walk away, like know when to walk away, know when to say it's too far, know when to not make up for it. Because I think we've talked about this before, but a lot of times they make it where the female lead like makes up a lot of the percentage of like a grumpy or morally black, morally gray male lead, where the female lead has to be a lot more forgiving in a way that I don't think I would at least be in real life. So
yeah, totally.
For me, I liked that she seemed to always stand up for herself when the line got too far, always knew when to walk away, kind of reacted in a way that you would hope like you or your friend would react. And so it made her really enjoyable for me because she was like not just like subservient, I guess.
Oh, yeah. She's very feisty. She's very sassy, which I absolutely loved.
And sarcastic.
Sarcastic, yes. And I just loved my heart went out to her. I think you feel very empathetic very early on too. I know we've talked in other books where you can really put yourself in the female lead shoes. I think in this book it's very unique that you can, the way they write the story with her dad passing, and even later on when they show a bit of like text messages between her and her dad that is passed, just heartbreaking. Like your heart goes out to her, and you want her to succeed. You want her to get all the good in life because she hasn't had a lot of that.
Yeah, and she also, you see her take a lot of like L's, but she rolls with them really well in a way that's not like necessarily like fake optimism, but it's also not like doom and gloom kind of vibe, you know?
Like she definitely like always had a really like a fighting outlook. She's also like she's also trying to be an Olympic fencer, which I thought was really cool too. Like she, you know, like I was like, oh, that's awesome. And that also leads into part of some past trauma too, with a big part of it was so important to her. And then after her dad passes away, she has a falling out with fencing basically as well. And so a lot of her life is stripped from her at once. And so my heart really went out to her, but she was still very badass.
What I struggled with the most, I feel like, from like her like feeling sad for her, honestly, was always when she talked about like his material items, because it sounds so silly, but like as I kind of like when you get towards the end and she gets like the whole garage of stuff back, you think like how sad would it be not only to have your like dad stolen from you before you say goodbye across the country, you barely make it to his funeral in a way that he doesn't want it to be, and then on top of that, you have no physical evidence of him. Like, think about, like, how hard it would be to have nothing tangible. I guess I for something for some reason that piece really hurt, like really resonated with me, because I can't imagine having no like physical proof, I guess, that this person was real, that these things happened. I don't know.
Yeah, no, totally. And also it's like her whole family structure setup is coming from a place of loss. Like her biological mom just drops her off and abandons her, and she never meets her. And then she does grow a relationship with her dad, but her dad had remarried at that point to basically the wicked stepmother and stepsisters of the Cinderella story. They're terrible, so terrible. And so I feel like, no, you're totally right. You would think I would personally, as I'm sure you would too, as you've said, want more tangible memories.
Yeah. Because it's just, I can't imagine you don't get to say goodbye, right? You get no, like...
anything.
Yeah, different kind of closure. I can't even explain it, because I think you and I have talked about closure and, like, what I believe to be the reality of closure, but I think a physical, like, I don't know, like a memory.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. The grieving, it's a place for, it's like, it's just like a part of your grieving process. And if we're on the topic of grieving, we got to talk about the male lead, Zachary Sun's mom.
Oh, yeah.
Like this whole grieving trajectory for her. My second question I wanted to ask you that I thought I misunderstood, they reference a character, Celeste. Is that his mom?
No, Celeste is, that's the way of saying aunt.
Oh.
That's at least how I pronounce it. I don't know if IE is right, but when IE is just like a
term for aunt.
Uh-huh.
I was so confused. I was like, is Celeste his mom? Is that the aunt? I was very confused. Mm-hmm. So thank you for clarifying that.
Celeste was the aunt. What was the mom's name?
I can't remember.
Constance?
Oh, yes. Yes. That's probably why I got them.
I remember it because when Farrow learns about Romeo thinking of her like a mom, and she's talking about like how to pack her lunches and stuff like that. And she's like,
same lady?
Constance Sun.
Same lady.
Her. Yeah. I thought that was so funny. She was like, one more time. Constance.
So obviously we mentioned before, his mom really wants to pick his wife so that she's quote unquote good enough for Zachary. It has to be an overachiever, perfectionist, all these things. And, we're led to believe, and the expectation even from Zachary at the beginning is that Farrow / Faye is not ever going to be good, is not good enough because it doesn't meet these expectations. But my heart also broke for him in the line when it said, I took her husband away from her. The least I could do is let her pick my wife or something like that.
I feel so bad for the guilt he carries.
Yes.
His guilt is like top tier sad because especially because he's such a morally gray male lead, you never see, that's dramatic, but you know what I mean? You don't typically see, I feel like, one that gets like just one soft spot and it's like their mom, and then he just like never talked back. It's just like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, no. And I think that it was it was interesting that it was peppered in throughout this book, that how her grief was like insurmountable for her. Like they even talk about how she becomes like a completely different person. She alienates her son. Like she's...
Well, I don't think she alienates him. I think that she needs first she goes through hard grief where she can't leave bed kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then I think she goes into feeling like she has to control and protect in order to make sure something like it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's neglect so much as it is control.
Okay, that makes sense. And I think what this author does, like you said, L.J. Shen, does a wonderful job at displaying trauma. Mm-hmm. And how that's going to show up later,
I feel like every female or male lead has some sort of trauma that shows up seriously, but also it's always written in a way where again, no matter what they do, I'm just somehow that's I forgive you.
So true, because you have the female lead that deals deeply with being unwanted, and she says multiple times all she ever wanted was a family. Heartbreaking. And then you have him who carries the guilt of his father passing away and carries his mother's grief.
Yes.
So much.
Oh my God. So when he tells his mom, Zach, at the end, because you just brought it up, the family part, I think when he tells his mom the second thing that she has to do is to like welcome her into the family because it's all she ever wanted.
Oh my God, yes. My
Like,
heart melted.
I was like on the plane reading this. like all emotional, like
Did you cry on the plane?
No, I held it in. Because I was in the aisle seat, it would have been really embarrassing, but I definitely got like watery eyes where I did that like look around, like it's just airy in here. It's just very airy.
Just a lot of air on my eyes.
You guys feeling that air?
That crying air. There's some stuff in here. Okay, did you think she was really gonna die when he tells her I am severing my relationship with you, or whatever he tells his mom, and then she falls down the stairs? I thought she was gonna die for real, and I was like, oh my God, trauma 2.0. Wow.
No, I just thought like honestly my immediate thought was that's dramatic. and then it goes to them taking her to the hospital. I was like, oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
But my immediate thought was like manipulation almost, you know, like I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Constance.
Well, was it? I mean, it does kind of sound like she threw herself down the stairs. Like she didn't fall.
I took it as like a feint.
Oh, so it was like she
like
fainted.
I took it as like a.
Okay. I thought she was committed to like carry on her guilt and grief, and I was like, oh my God, we're gonna get a whole fourth act breakup now.
I took it as like she had like a visceral reaction to her fear. Like it made her anxiety
so bad.
Because then it goes immediately into like her dealing with her anxiety. So it's almost like something happened that triggered her. Is a better way to
make sense. Makes sense. Well, now I feel bad kind of being like, oh my gosh, this woman just really wanted to mess her son up. That's like obviously loved him very much. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Okay. I have as a note Zach talking to her stepmom, to Farrow's stepmom.
Yeah.
When he walked in and like some of the stuff he would say, not just to her stepmom, but like her stepsisters, like, you're a waste of space. Yes. Anything to wrap this conversation up. Like he was so mean.
Yes, I loved that. I actually wrote down in one of my notes is like, he says, I assure you, I don't care. But I don't know what he said it. But I was like, I need to write that insult down. I assure you, I don't care. Like it is so good.
And I think she says something like the mom says something along the lines of like, I don't want to waste your time, and he was like, you already have. Like every single, he had so many burns that I'm just like cackling at. Like he was so mean, but he was like a hilarious mean. Like it was hard to get mad at him when he was so funny.
Oh, totally. That was hilarious. That was like I aspire to be able to say some of those things in some life situations.
I assure you, I don't care.
I assure you, I don't care.
Or saying out of work.
Oh, yes. Or also the what one did you just say that was so good? I don't mean to waste your time. Well, you already have. Like, that is so good.
Mission failed.
So good. Okay. So one of my top favorite moments in this book, there's so many that I love. I loved this book, is when the whole laughing, because he like doesn't laugh, he's not funny. And then like
and she tells him to make her laugh.
Yes. And he's like is used to getting what he wants. So he's like, laugh. And she's like, make me. And it was just so spicy and saucy, and I loved it. I
forget what he ends up saying too. It's like he doesn't he have to wear straps or something?
Oh, he loses a bet. Yes. And he has to wear pink like straps. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, because it's like Oliver's Dare, I think. I cannot wait. I'm pretty sure Oliver's book is next. It comes out like the beginning of next year. I cannot wait. I can feel in my soul this is going to be like a slam dunk of a Jordan reformed Playboy.
Oh yeah, because he's the ultimate Playboy. Like he's the definition of Playboy.
But he also like they go into him a lot more in this book that they don't in the first, where they're like, he's the smartest person I know, and like pretends that he's not smart, like to essentially hold no importance, but then he's also like quadrupled all these funds and stuff. Like he's just insanely intelligent and rich. Like I cannot wait for it's got to be Dallas's sister, right?
Oh my God, that's what I was gonna say. It has to be her sister, which I'm so down for. So down.
She's very young.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, she can't drink legally, but she's over 18. How old is he?
He's like 32.
Oh, okay. I don't love that.
It's a real groomer vibe. I don't. This is gonna, I feel like, be one of those books where I'm just gonna pretend I don't read the age gap.
Right. She's gonna be like, he's 33, she's 28, 29.
Yeah, in my head.
Yeah, 29. Or a time jump, but that still doesn't lower the difference.
Yeah, and like he'll be 40 something then, which like isn't bad. It's just a 40-year-old and a 20-year-old is really hard to be like.
That is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Read it.
Yeah, that is true. Well, unless he meets someone else and he just likes to give her credit cards for a moment, and then he does give her the sister's credit cards, and then he never speaks to her again.
He's obsessed with her even in the first book, remember?
Oh yeah.
I feel like,
and
she's like forbidden in all the ways. It's gotta be those two.
It's gotta be that. Well, maybe again, we're just gonna mentally. She's 28.
Yeah, I'm just gonna change it in my head.
Yeah. Because I am excited for that book too. I wrote that down too. Like, oh, I want him to get a book.
Because, okay, so here's my problem now. It's when the age gap is really big like that and they're just like that young. Because it's fine if it's like an age gap. It's when the youngest is very young. Like just getting out of college kind of vibe.
Oh.
Okay, so I was
like when they're 18 with their professor?
He was like 4 years older. It doesn't count. You're not going to shit on Orion and Blue right now.
He was 8 years older. He was her professor. He was 18.
I don't want to hear PG word you have to say about Blue and Orion. No, I'm talking like big age gap, and she's young, like 10 years. So I was talking to my sister a couple days ago about Rhapsodic.
Oh, yeah.
How do I say it?
Rhapsodic, maybe.
Rhapsodic.
There's some groomer.
And it's the Bargainer series. If you haven't read it, this isn't really a spoiler. They'll tell you this right away. But she was like, yeah, I liked it, but it gave strong groomer energy. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't even. And now you said it, and I can't unthink it. And so that's kind of how I feel. It's like, I don't want it to be ruined by groomer energy.
Yeah. I agree with you. I maybe it'll be a time jump and he'll be older, but she'll be more mature. Not that she's immature or anything like that, but just she'll be a little older and have some more life experience. Because I think where it gets creepy, like with Rhapsodic and stuff, is when they're so young and the characters are so young, and it becomes very groomery vibes because they're really dependent on the older male lead, and it just imbalance of power.
And to learn about themselves to do all of it.
Exactly.
Self. Yeah.
Coming of your own age where you go through, you get more self-assurance, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I think they try to give her character a lot of confidence in this to like tee that up so that it doesn't feel that way. I really hope it doesn't. Like I said, I am really, really excited for his book. I really don't want to be
disappointed or turned off by that.
Turned off.
Yeah. No, I agree. Oh my God. Can we talk about in the middle of the book in their up and down journey of coldness and closeness, when he does the whole video for her? Not video. Now I can't even speak. When he does the roses and he watches the movies and he cooks by hand her favorite food, but then she walks in on his fiance and him eating it. Oh my God. But the fact that he like did all that for her, but then you walk in and she sees that lady there.
And it's so hard because like what she says is so perfect at one point in time, because like I feel like it's hard because you feel for both characters, both Farrow and Eileen. I actually did feel for her. I never got like major crazy vibes even when she avoided him. No. I actually mostly just felt pity for her. I just feel like she says something along the lines of like, your relationship might not be real, but your engagement is. Ooh. And I was just like, oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah, it is. And it's like, it's hard to move past that. That was really hard for me.
And she brings up a lot that she's messing around with an engaged man. Oh my God. And he gets engaged on her birthday.
That whole scene.
So
I knew it. The second that they said there was a party, I was like, no.
Yes.
She's dying to announce this engagement. It was like instant dread in my tummy. Like, I knew. I was like, this is not a surprise for her.
No. But all she wanted it was to be, because she had a really crummy family and she just wanted someone to recognize her birthday.
and like, he bosses her around.
Oh my God, he's terrible. That is where he becomes really morally gray, where he goes back into his dark coldness. He's really mean to her at his engagement party that's on her birthday that she thought was going to be a surprise party for her.
Well, I don't think she thought it was going to be a surprise party. I think she comes home and she's like, please at least like remember it's my birthday. And then he like bosses her around and then she's like sick, so I'll just do my job then.
Okay. I took it as like, remember it's my birthday, this party. But okay.
No, she was already kind of like on a pity party path and was like, I just want either somebody to remember or to leave me alone. And he chose to do
neither.
Well, kind of both, but also kind of neither.
Yeah, it's not good. That part's not. But from that, one of my favorite parts of the book comes about her friendship with Dallas.
Yeah. Oh my God. I love Dallas in book 1. I thought she was so funny.
Me too.
Which kind of dives into one of my notes. One of my favorite things that an interconnected standalone series can do is truly build out the girls' friendships.
Totally.
And by that I mean there's always usually like some form of a friend group, but like, okay, the first thing that comes to mind is God of Wrath by Rena Kent that we read.
Yes.
Her friends, I'm sorry, not a singular one of them would pass as one of my friends.
No.
Not one of them is there for each other, reaching out, is paying attention. Like, none of it. It was all just like weird and toxic. And sometimes they do that with female friendships, but you're supposed to believe they're nice. And then they come around at the last minute and they're like, oh, I just didn't want to tell you what was happening.
True.
What these authors did here that I love is they made a truly strong friendship where like, I love their text conversations. I'm laughing at the moments that aren't solely focused on the romance because the other relationships are there and they're up to par and they're bringing story.
Yes, I completely agree, because I even love I completely agree with you. I even loved when she runs away after they have a bad moment, which is, I think, maybe after the proposal party, or no. It's after she walks in on, he did all these really sweet things that she wanted, but the fiance is there. She runs over to Romeo. I'm so sorry. Yeah, Dallas and Romeo's house. And Romeo is even like, oh, like Zachary mentally is like my friend. I don't like what, but then he's like, no, but like Dallas will incarcerate me or whatever he says if I don't help you. And it's like, I just love that Dallas was like, she's such a good friend to her already.
Yeah.
And she goes into how she wants like these genuine connections and she finds it in Dallas. And I love that.
I like how when he opens the door, Romeo's like, I thought I told you to stop taking in strays.
Yes.
I'm so fucked up. It's so funny. See, that's
so fucked up.
That's the problem with L.J. Shen and my obsession with her is she always writes these just like hilarious male leads that say the meanest things, but they're so funny that I just don't care.
You're like, I will again mentally let this go.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? And I love when Dallas's sister says like, because Farrow / Faye is like, how do you know you already like me? And then she's like, well, you're whatever, you're approved by Dallas, so you're approved by me. And I was just like, oh.
Like, I just love when they do friendships like that because they deliver throughout the extra books, instead of just becoming like a really far off side character where you kind of hear about them and they probably have a child and don't have time for anybody else sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's like usually like they're actually involved and they're a part of all of each other's lives. I love that. And it makes you care about whose story's next. Like you care so much about who's the next one and we're already talking about who we think the next book's about.
I agree. I think the authors did a great job with that. and building like the community within the series of the characters.
Yes. Okay. One of my notes that I have to talk about is it kind of goes back to like our love of her character. I loved that when he came over to threaten her, she didn't immediately like take the threat and be like, okay, I'll work for you. She was like, fought back and was like, well, I mean, where's your proof? Like, you know what I mean? Like she doesn't take it lying down. And I feel like they always tee the person up for like that. He trapped me into it.
Oh,
like you can't say that she got trapped. She had a good deal going for her. Like it was not a trap. By the time he left, she had the better end of the deal by a lot.
Yeah, she did. No, I loved that. And I loved that immediately, like, oh, the retribution was just great for me that she could be like, peace out, Vera, stepmom. What's she going to do about it? And also because we are led to believe stepmom had a hand in dad's death.
Well, I mean, she did.
Yeah. But even at the beginning, you're led to believe, like, you're like, you know.
Yeah, I think I was still kind of surprised, though.
Really? I was
it's like it wasn't like a shock. It was just one of those things that I thought the kind of villain they make Vera up until you find that out is kind of like a annoying, lazy villain.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? She's not trying to beat her up. She's not throwing out her shit. Like, yeah, she's being emotionally terrible and doing awful things. But realistically, like, we've read a lot worse villains in a casual setting. You know what I mean? So she just didn't feel that villainy to me.
Okay.
And so when it happened, I was like,
dang.
Oh, never mind. She was villain.
She was villain. I knew
she went up a star in the Grand Theft Auto scale.
She upped the ante. I knew immediately when they were like, she was like, my dad's death didn't line up. I was like, it was the wife.
I totally see that. Like, I get your point. I just was too dumb. I was too naive.
No.
A little torture.
No.
Not made torture.
I have a point. Were you thrown? Yes. Were you thrown out of it? Did you have thoughts? Did you have feelings about the ashy cigar holder?
I was shook. I was like, when he talks to her, I was like, and when he tells her to leave it and it's his property, I was like, oh my God.
Sir.
Oh my God. It was like a strange kink, but it was like, he couldn't touch her. So at the same time, it was like still sexy. God, is that weird?
No.
It was like weirdly sexy.
I felt the exact same way. Because I was like, okay, this is interesting. This is strange. But it's still hot. But then also
you're
like which one is it?
The scale's just ticking back and forth. You're like, yes.
But also the wildness of where she's just like overcome with horniness. She just grabs an old cigar.
That would never happen. I'm sorry. No. Especially because like she leaves the room from him immediately and runs to do it. Yeah. And you're like, okay. Have you ever I would like to pull 1,000 women and know how many of them can relate to this moment where they said, screw it, any room in my office of employment, I'm going to just, maybe the bathroom alone, the door locked. Maybe that would have been more palatable because you could feasibly be in a bathroom. But it was just like the whole setup was just like any room. Immediately
after. She locked eyes with that cigar holder and she was just ready to go. And then also, it's an antique. Was it clean? Did she was just caution?
I thought the antique was. I'm pretty sure the antique thing was a lie, so that he could keep it. At least that's how I took it.
Oh.
I didn't take it as seriously. It could have. They don't present it like a joke, but it felt like she was like, it's probably like a cheap cigar holder. You're fine, I'll pay you back. And he's like, actually, it was Thomas Jefferson.
Oh.
Like, I kind of took it like that.
Serious.
Like, I took it like, actually, you can never afford my cigar holder. I don't know. I could be wrong.
I don't know. I have no idea. I took it as like, yeah, please let us know. I took it as she seriously defiled his cigar holder from the 1700s.
Well, he seemed fine with it either way.
He did. He did.
The other thing I found hilarious was that, so I also found a ton of comedy in The Mom and the Ant. Even knowing that she was being emotionally manipulative, there were times I found her very funny. One of those times was when Oliver comes into the house. They ran into his mom looking for a bride at Hermes. Oh. It was like, they're just out on the street looking for one, and he was like, anywhere? And they were like, God, no, Hermes.
That was really funny. There is some really good really great moments in the book.
And I like how Eileen comes in with something from Hermes on, and he's just like, the first time she comes to get the necklace, she's wearing something from Hermes, and all I could think is like, she bought that when she met your mom.
Yeah, basically.
That's what she bought in the store. Probably.
But yeah, I thought that part was so funny.
Yeah, there were so many. So my other comedic part I wrote down was when he was being an asshole to her, and she figured out what his phobia was, and she goes, "I will smother you with a bear hug." After a threat, I laughed so hard. I was like, "That is funny as shit," because he's this terrifying asshole, and she's like, "I will smother you."
I will touch you, sir. Yes, that was so. I found her so funny. Honestly, I found her so funny, and then I also just found Ollie so funny.
Who?
Ollie.
Oh, Olive?
Yeah.
Or Oliver?
Oliver, sorry. But don't they call him Ollie?
I don't know. I started instantly picturing a girl, and I was like, Ollie.
Oh, yeah. No, but Oliver. I found him so funny, and I found her so funny.
I love Oliver. Him adding them and subtracting them from the group chat and stuff. The comedic relief he brings is just like, I want his book to be good so bad. I need it to be good.
Me too. I think it will be. I have good feelings. Oh, I do want to ask. Okay, so I do have a few more points to get to. But at this point, how would you rate this book?
Okay. These reads were 5 stars for me. Just because I loved the flow from, I did read them chronologically, as did you. I think that made it really good. I loved the concept of them. I think, like I said, she does such a good, the third act breakup isn't a third act breakup. There's a let's take time apart and see where we're at. Like, everything about the writing style just really speaks to what a 5-star read is for me.
Oh, I love that. Okay, same. I thought this was 5-star. I did not want to put it down. I absolutely loved it. I loved the first book in the series, but I loved this one, not going to lie, even more. Like, for me, this was just like a 5-star read. It was great. I was emotionally all over the place, thrown all over the place, but invested the whole time.
Yeah, and it's just it does such a good job of having a whole plot. And actually, now I'm thinking about it, I think this actually falls under our telenovela category.
Oh, yes, it does. I mean, it does. The mom fainted
strong
down
telenovela energy, and I just eat that up. I don't just breakfast, lunch, and dinner, baby. Give me it. Because the drama, the relationship, it's like, I love when there's more to the plot than just the relationship, but like, I love when they build a bantery friendship / clearly not a friendship. Like,
yes, their banter was like chef's kiss. It was so good. So good. And I just loved how she turns the octopus nickname into an endearment, and he calls her Octi, and she's like, say it again. I don't know. It's just like so cute. I loved it. Oh my gosh. And at the end, when she gets a dog from Dallas.
Yes.
So cute. So cute.
And she brings the dog, and he's just like, I guess we have a dog.
Oh my God, I know. She's like, yes.
He flew economy for her.
He did, and he drove. And then he flew economy.
In this economy.
Yes. Oh, he loves her so much. He was so in love.
Rich to fly economy for me. Can you imagine?
Yeah. Be like, I came to visit you and I flew economy.
He flew economy to get here on time. Okay, have a sit.
Right, exactly. Oh my gosh, but I thought just like the fact, even the detail of, I know it ends kind of badly because the fiance is there and she walks in on the fiance eating the dinner, but he mentions he made it from scratch himself for her. Like, he cooked it. And I was just like, oh, this is too cute. And he was in denial at that time.
Okay, so, the biggest part for me that he does, and I didn't realize it until I like went back the second time, is that he has been collecting all of her dad's items since like she first starts working for him.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
In and he's recovered everything down to replicas. I did not piece that together the first time, and I like went back and I was like, oh my God, that is the sweetest thing I have ever heard of, because he gives her closure for something that she could not have
the romance for her, that was so romantic.
Having never been loved.
Oh my God, Jordan, I got goosebumps when you said that. I did. I almost teared up and I got goosebumps.
It was like all she wanted. And he recovered all her items. He gives her closure. He waits for her. He flies economy for her. And then he tells his mother to love her because she won't, like, come on. I know. Who can write this kind of beautiful, like, and he's like the meanest male lead.
But then, oh my God, yeah. No, it's just wonderful. It's just gold stars all around. Hats off. Chef's kiss.
Pennies. I would say 3.
Yeah, I would say, like, with the added in mention of some things, maybe 3.5.
Yeah.
Like, this is a little bit more like we take the book in a different topic level, I think. There's a few moments where I'm like, damn, okay.
Yeah.
I
see what you mean. Yeah. I guess when I think spice, I think like how many, like, did it feel like consistently?
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Like,
did I feel like it was bam, 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 bam? Or did I feel like it was like fluff, fluff, bam, fluff, you know?
Yes, I love that. I love your description. Fluff, fluff, bam, fluff, fluff, bam.
But I will say it goes from like fluff, fluff, bam to like fluff, bam, fluff, bam, fluff, bam.
all the bambin. And I think like, some of the things.
Into sevens from Friends. 7.
Totally. Oh my God. When they're in the sauna and the guy's just watching them.
That was the part where I was like, oh, and like, okay. Actually, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't have in the sauna?
I thought, okay, so when I first read it, I thought they did. But then later on, he goes to say they don't have sex.
It's almost like, okay, I'm trying to think of how to word this. They, upon reflection, it appears it might be like using underwear as the barricade.
Oh.
I think that's what they were getting at. but I'm
that
still
makes
not
sense.
confident.
I'm
What
still not
happened in the
confident
sauna?
either. I
I'm
don't
as
know.
confident about what happened in the sauna as I am about what Lorcan did.
Like there's not enough detail.
I feel like I have similar data.
No, that's very true.
Like videos? I'm just kidding.
I feel like sauna's security system. Well, someone was watching. Oh my god! And then they even mentioned that the person watching, like, to them watching, you know.
No, I don't. Sheridan, tell me.
To them watching, and I was like, "Oh my goodness! Okay, we're throwing this in here." Because do we ever find out who that was? I can't remember. I don't think so.
No, because
we never find it out.
I like how they kick Oliver out too, thinking.
Oh my god, yes.
And he's like, "Can you please get me my club membership back?
Can you please tell them it was you and not me?"
When they come over at the dinner too.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I laughed so hard. Just their banter, their friendship banter is so good.
Top tier.
Okay. I do have one gripe with this book.
Ooh,
are you ready for my gripe?
Yes.
I think not taking her friend's money to fly home to see her dad at her funeral was crazy. I can understand everything else. Not taking the money to fight the lawyer, fine. I can see that. But if you or one of my friends were stranded in a different country and your dad passed away, or your family member or somebody who's very important to you passed away, and you tried to give me a pride thing, that would be crazy to me.
That's so true.
Like, in what I would have just shipped you the ticket and been like, well, I bought it, so you either get on the plane or I lose the money. I'd rather you get on the plane.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was really hard for me to like wrap my mind around as like a. It would have made more sense if she didn't have any friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like no friends were there to help her, so she couldn't go. But she literally had this
friend who's loaded, and I'm not even talking like doesn't have money, loaded.
Yeah.
A plane ticket
would have been like pocket change for this character, her friend's character.
That's the only part that kind of bummed me out, where I was like, for your dad's funeral?
Yeah.
Bride? I don't think so.
That's very true. That's a good point. And I wonder if it was like they're trying to demonstrate her armor that she carries around, like her ability to get close to people. Oh my gosh, this also brings up a part that I was reading that gave me goosebumps. I want to look it up to see what exactly it said, but it was something to do with she's like, I don't do dating. She doesn't want to give too much of herself to the wrong person. And then she talks about how her dad only wanted a family, so he like married someone terrible because he just wanted a family. That was heartbreaking. But no, I understand your gripe of that seemed oddly placed and just didn't seem logical.
Yeah, that's the only piece that was like, no.
Yeah,
but I agree. It was also kind of like it's like I feel for her dad the whole time until she goes to his grave too, and she says like, I'm mad that you didn't pick me in life, and you're like, he really didn't. That was also kind of sad. I felt so bad for her because like she put him on such a pedestal.
Yeah, and he didn't pick her. That one got me right and just twisted the knife in the heart. That was like, oh, but now she has Zachary. I know. Sorry. And Constance, who didn't die, who survived her fall down the stairs.
And hopefully dealt with her anxiety.
And hopefully got some help. Oh my God. So I read it as, do you know, okay, so early on in the book, when he's describing her, and then he also describes all his mom's requirements for a wife, he literally goes like, and she's a blonde. Like, that's how I read it in my mind. Like, heaven forbid he be with a blonde. Like,
well, I think it was like supposed to be cultural, right? Didn't she want?
Yes. Like someone culturally similar to them.
Yeah. Which also, I'm having a hard time. Where did they live?
Oh my God, I wrote that down too. I have no idea where this book takes place.
Because the way they talked about Seal,
Yeah.
sometimes it seemed like they were there and sometimes it seemed like the past.
Yes.
And they talk about getting to New York quick, but that is, most international flights, I feel like you get there and but I guess they go a lot quicker. I feel, and she's from the South, but
yeah, I found it very confusing. I wrote down, where did this book take place?
I kind of want to Google it.
Okay, let's Google it. While you're Googling, there was also a lot of knife play in this book. Like a lot of knives.
Well, because he's trying to not touch her.
True. Oh my gosh, he's also definition of touch her and you'll die, because that one guy goes to pinch her butt and he cuts a finger off.
I loved it. Obviously,
yes,
he was a psycho too. So.
True. So I was all about it.
Yeah, rip off his finger. What do I care? She lives in Florida. Oh no, that's L.J. Shen.
Also, when he says, you don't have a protector, but it's going to be me. Oh, I wrote down so many quotes that I'm just obsessed with from the romance perspective.
I can't find this answer easy. L.J. Shen's comedy, L.J. Shen's male leads. I haven't really read anything by Parker S. Huntington before. So I think I will look more into her books, but because I love L.J. Shen and these
Me too.
Slam dunks.
So
I'd be interested if the humor's similar.
I completely agree. They were excellent. I absolutely loved them. There were so many quotes I saved to go back and reread because I absolutely loved this book. I thought it was very romantic and very heartfelt.
I did too. Do you have any other notes you want to cover?
No, those are the majority. I think we pretty much talked about them all. So definitely recommend this book. It was definitely a 5-star read.
Yeah. Well, you heard it here first through the grapevine. I'm Jordan.
I'm Sheridan.
And we hope to hear you can hear from us next week.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.